Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Haunted America. On today's episode, we're going to share with you some interesting news that Jesse brought to my attention this morning. May 17th of 2024, so we're a little bit behind on this one, about a year behind. The Vatican released new guidelines on discerning alleged supernatural phenomena. All this plus our thoughts and comments on today's episode of
Haunted America.
Before we get into the show, if you guys want to get your hands on some of the same equipment that we use when we're out there doing our own paranormal investigations, we have Amazon links down below to equipment such as SB7 spirit boxes, EVP recorders, REM pods, all the kind of basic stuff you need to get started with your own paranormal research. And we do get a little bit of commission when you guys use our links. We'd greatly appreciate it. And while you're at it, if you can, please rate and review this podcast on whatever platform you listen on. Thank you. Let's get into the show. So yeah, as we mentioned in the intro, May 17th, 2024. We're about a year behind on this news, but Jesse ran across it this morning. The Vatican released new guidelines for discerning alleged supernatural phenomenon, such as Marian apparitions, which streamline the discernment process and give the Vatican greater control over investigations, while reaffirming that Catholics are not obligated to believe in these phenomenon. So, really quick for those that don't know, Marian apparitions are reported supernatural appearances of the Blessed Virgin Mary, often accompanied by messages of love, hope, prayer, and guidance. They are considered a significant element in the spiritual lives of many Catholics, though the Church remains cautious in officially recognizing them. So, what does this all mean, Jesse?
Well, it means that they're officially saying that while all along they've said, no, these things don't happen. They're definitely coming out and saying, yeah, they happen. And it doesn't go against your faith to believe that these things happen.
And now we know everybody out there may not be a Catholic or very religious, or you may just be scrolling along, Spotify or Apple, Pandora, listening to paranormal podcasts just because that's what you're into. We know everybody's not into the whole religious thing. That's not what we're trying to do here. No. So that's just like a little disclaimer for this episode, I guess. But we just thought that this was interesting because this does kind of point Catholics, which have a tradition mostly of not believing in anything paranormal wise. This is kind of a step in the right direction towards Catholics and stuff recognizing that this stuff does happen.
Well, towards validating everybody else that what we've been thinking we're seeing may actually be what's real.
And while they're not, like we said here, they're only recognizing right now Marian apparitions, which is the Virgin Mary, right?
Well, stuff like that. Not just the Virgin Mary, but things in that category.
But not necessarily actual spirits. Like, they're not recognizing you seeing your passed on grandpa.
They're not recognizing it, but they're not saying that those things aren't what you think they are either.
Okay. So you had a couple links saved or stuff that you wanted to read to get into more depth on all this?
So this is straight out of the BBC. And the paper warns against creating damage to the unity of the church and serious errors that could cause scandals and undermine the credibility of the church. So right there, they want to come out and they want to admit that this stuff is real, but they don't want it to come back and hurt the credibility of the Vatican, which nowadays the Vatican is losing a lot of credibility among Christians and Catholics alike. The new guidelines say that, as a rule, bishops should issue a nihil obstat, or no obstacle, in such cases. This means that the incident would not be formally recognized as supernatural, but there would be no barrier to worship. Supernatural recognition by the Vatican is rare. The document goes on to say that 5 other decisions can also be issued by bishops, including rejecting the event as supernatural altogether or even banning the worship of some phenomena. Now,
Which totally discrediting is basically what they've been doing this whole time.
right.
Right? Because
Right.
you might go up to somebody at your church and say, "Hey, this happened," and they're just like, "No, you're seeing things," or something along
Yeah,
those
right
lines.
away they'll say, no,
They just
that's not
discredit
it.
you right away.
Or it's the devil, or immediately.
Right.
know.
They try to come up with some other explanation for it.
Apparitions have been reported across the centuries. Those recognized by the church have prompted pilgrims and popes to visit spots where they are said to have taken place. So at the same time where they're saying that these things weren't happening, you have the highest members of the church and, of course, other believers going there and even recognizing it. Now, a thing that caught my attention is that, okay, they're saying that you can worship some of them, but at the same time banning worship, and you're
Well,
not supposed to worship
I think
anything.
Worshipping them is
Is
totally based upon if you saw one of the Marian apparitions, more than likely, right?
Okay, but you're not
Like
supposed
saying that's what you're okay to worship is if that's what you saw.
But according to the church, you're not supposed to worship false idols. So does that make it a valid idol? Is that what that means?
If that's what you saw was the Virgin Mary, then that would be considered a valid idol, right?
Okay.
But I guess that means if you go in there and say, "Oh my gosh, I saw my dad,"
Yeah.
or something like that, right? Passed away, whatever.
Right.
That would fall under, you can't worship that because that could be fake.
So is recognizing the same as worshiping, though? You know, I don't think so. I'm not.
I wouldn't.
I don't think so. Because
I would like me recognizing. So we're in Buffalo. So me recognizing Josh Allen and me worshiping Josh Allen are two totally different things. Like recognizing could fall under wearing his jersey.
Yeah.
While worshiping would be like having a shrine dedicated to Josh Allen.
True. And a lot of
downstairs.
religious fanatics will really blur the lines there too. Just putting him up on a pedestal, they will sometimes turn that into worship, and it's like, you shouldn't worship them. Like, no, I'm just a fan. Oh, you wear his shirts, you got his pictures on the wall, you're worshiping him. It's a shrine, technically. They can, some of those things can be twisted into anything.
I don't know, a lot of gray lines and all this.
The new rulings say many pilgrimage sites linked to supposed phenomena have not received authentication from the Vatican, but that this does not pose problems for the Church. And so the Vatican, an institution peppered with mysticism, which still communicates via smoke signals when electing a new pope, will be hoping its new rules can regulate claims of the supernatural. So, to me, this says that there's absolutely supernatural things that happen. And we're going to make this as a blanket idea here, going from holy apparitions and spirits right down to your everyday ghosts that you don't know what's going on. These things are definitely happening. Not that everything you think is a ghost, but these things are definitely real. There's so many things that are going on, especially more and more late as we go on now into 2025. There's more and more crazy things that people are reporting, seeing, making videos of, and while a lot of them can be AI and photoshopped or whatever, there's still a great majority of them that cannot be explained and are debunked by AI and all those programs. So there's more and more things that are coming out and really happening that cannot be explained. And I think they're starting to lose traction and being able to tell us, no, that's not real. That's not really what you're seeing. I think they're not being able to convince people that nothing you're thinking is real anymore.
And just for reference here, so this was put into action and started to be recognized by the church full on in May of 2024, right? And this, before that, the last time they recognized something dealing with the Virgin Mary, Marian apparition, was in Cairo, during which Mary is said to have appeared many times on the roof of a church in the city Zaytown district between 1968 and 1971. So 36 years ago.
It's funny that time.
Or 54 to 40.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Thinking?
50 something years ago was the last time it was really recognized by a church, the Coptic Orthodox Church. Coptic, yeah. That's forever ago. I wasn't alive. That's crazy.
And I mean, that was back, and that wasn't even when, like the Virgin Mary showing up on a piece of toast, or Jesus Christ showing up on a toast.
Yeah, but none of those have been recognized or whatever. That was the last time it was actually recognized by a church.
Right.
And now it's recognized between all of them in the same little area.
As it said, there's all kinds of mysticism that surrounds the Vatican. They've changed their stance on so many things over the decades, and I mean, more so now. There's so much we can get into with the Vatican and the Pope and conspiracies about it, and the last Pope, which is supposedly this Pope. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on at the Vatican. It's wild.
Trying to read. So anybody wants to read more into this, go to the Britannica website, britannica.com /topic/Marian apparition. And you can read more up on all this and what exactly defines a Marian apparition and what the church recognizes and all that kind of stuff. We just thought this would be interesting to bring up to you guys because, like we said in the beginning of the episode, the church for the longest time has denied any sort of apparition, whether it being a Marian apparition or, seeing a passed on loved one. You get denied more than half the time if you go to the church and tell them that you saw something.
Yeah.
And this is just a step in the right direction of people in the world vastly believing in what we talk about and what we investigate.
Just validation towards what all of you are questioning, whether you're really seeing. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a holy thing or an evil thing, but it's just saying that there's a little more credibility towards what you're thinking you're seeing.
Yeah.
Just don't worship it.
Alrighty, let's get out of here. So thank you guys for joining us on today's episode of Haunted America. We hope you enjoyed the episode. And like we said in the beginning, if you guys want to purchase some of the same equipment that we use when we're out there investigating the paranormal, check the links down below for our Amazon affiliate links, and you guys can get your hands on some of the same equipment we use, and we do get a small little percentage of each sale. Anything else you want to add?
Don't forget to rate and review the show.
Yeah, that.
And if you have any personal stories or comments that you want to send in, send it to hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com. That's hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com.
With that being said, I am your host, Dalton Taylor.
And I'm Jess Trapasso.
And we will see you guys on the next episode of
Haunted America.